strikes. Is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
The U.S. and Iran trading fire in the Persian Gulf, but somehow the ceasefire is still on. President Trump downplaying the episode, saying the strikes were simply a love tap. Welcome to the second hour of the Big Money Show. I'm Brian Brenberg, along with my charismatic co-hosts. And with us for the hour, Cult Bomb Capital Management President Gary Kaltbaum. Good to see you, sir. Well, the president is waiting for a response from Iran on his latest peace proposal, and it could come soon.
Official update on the status of negotiations with Iran.
Well, we should know something today. I mean, we're expecting a response from them. We'll see what the response entails. The hope is it's something that it can put us into a serious process of negotiation.
Meanwhile, the economy is chugging along. New data shows the U.S. added 115,000 jobs in April, beating expectations. And markets are building on this week's gains. The Dow is down right now. Oil staying under $100 a barrel. Gary, we had a good-spirited discussion in the first hour on the state of the economy, what's going on with Iran, what it means for the future. How do you see this?
Which part do you want first?
I want all of it, Gary. Give us, don't bury the lead. What's the lead here?
I think the economy's good. I don't think it's sizzling. I don't think it's in monstrous shape. And I will tell you that I want to see 250,000 jobs every month.
Okay.
Unemployment rate is just fine. So I think we're in shape. The market is, areas of the market are just 1999-ish now. You're seeing, I mean, the best way to explain it is rocket ships in AI semiconductors and things like that, like Micron, no comment, and SanDisk and things like that. And as far as Iran, all I can tell you is I think I'm getting vertigo now. We're hearing things changing on a daily basis, and I'll just say what I said 2 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago here. I can't wait till it's over. I don't think any of us can wait till it's over. Let's get this thing over and done and move on. We got big fish to fry going forward and a big midterm election here. And as I always say, let us, the 150 million of us, go to work every day to do better for ourselves and our family, and I think the economy will do great things going forward.
Okay, so Taylor, you always bring us the data on the economy.
Yeah.
And I feel like lately you've been bringing us mostly positive things on like the CapEx, like the deep stuff in the economy.
Yes.
And Gary almost lost his breath over there when I said CapEx. Now, I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I think it was, yep, okay, up. So, but Taylor, so you've got that piece of it, right? But how does that, is that going to translate through the economy in a way that creates broad-based benefit, or is it too narrow for your liking, given what's happening right now?
So Edward Lawrence had some good statistics that since Trump took office in 2025, manufacturing jobs are actually negative, but construction is up. And what the Trump administration will try to tell you is that the construction jobs will eventually lead to more manufacturing jobs. Some of what I hear on social and that we've talked about on this program is the construction for the data centers is great, but then like who runs the data center after that if they only employ a couple people? So look, it is a construction boom that can go on for a while because we have, for now, insatiable demand for data centers. But I think a lot of people are questioning, but then what? Once it's built, what next? Here are some good data points. I know I was kind of negative in the first hour on the NFP report. So let's talk about the positives. For the first time in a year, NFP has increased now for 2 consecutive months, and our 3-month average is near 50,000. That's a solid performance if you think that we have a declining labor force, if we're, removing illegal immigrants, and of course the impact of the Iran war and the energy shock. That's not so bad. The average work week, I like to track that because if I'm an employer and I don't want to totally fire, I just want to scale back hours worked, because I'm seeing some softness in demand. The average work week inched back up slightly to 34.3 hours. The average during the first 4 months of 2026 was 34.2 in 2025. So we're above the average in terms of hours worked. So there are still some good things. The thing I'll continue just to watch on are the real disposable income, just because we've seen how that can really impact sentiment in both directions, starting to turn negative. But I think overall, net, if you take a look at where we are, given everything, this is an economy it's holding up.
Dagan, take on any of that you want to, but let me also throw this in here. Gary mentioned he just wants to get to the other side of this. He wants to see the other side. When you look at what President Trump has been saying with sort of like, I think trifle was one of the words he used, the love tap in response to Iranian attacks. Maybe one critique you could make of that is it feels like we're trying to frame things in very delicate ways and it's dragging things out versus getting the job done and getting us to the other side where you've maybe got a little more clarity. Do you think that's a problem for the president right now?
I think the problem for the nation is on the other side of this, we're still a country that is spending more than $2 trillion in borrowed money in excess of what we can afford. So that's the estimated, just if you annualize what the deficit was in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, it is over $2.2 trillion. The $103 billion a month in interest on the debt. And I point that out because with that kind of money, we would without the AI data center spend, which is not bearing fruit in terms of the growth that we should see. Why isn't the economy hotter now? And without the deficit spending, where would we be? And we need high growth to grow our way out of the debt. But how do we do that when we have only so-so growth and we're spending this kind of money? If anything goes wrong, we have debt that is absolutely going to snowball. I'll also point to, at the beginning of this week, we have had a shift in the 5- and 10-year break-even inflation rates. This is dictated by the market. It is the difference between nominal bond rates and the real rate on TIPS. And at the 5-year break-even, the rate is 2.72. That is the highest it's been. This is as of Monday. That's the highest it's been since the inflation scare of the Biden era in 2022. And if you go back before COVID, it was way lower. It doesn't sound like a lot. And it's also multi-year highs on the 10-year break-even, which hit 2.5%. So that puts the federal government in a real pickle when inflation expectations are picking up and the Federal Reserve potentially won't be able to lower. That's what's has not yet been factored into the market, is not going to be able to lower rates in a rising inflationary environment. Hey, inflation's great for stocks. But it's not great if you are borrowing. You've got $39 trillion in debt, and you're trying to borrow more than $2 trillion extra every year. I will also note that Double Line's Jeff Gundlach has repositioned some of his funds for the extreme scenario that the U.S. government might have to restructure its debt in response to a possible recession, which would essentially mean, oh, you loaned money to the federal government for over a 30-year period, and we were paying you this sweet, sweet return on that debt. Well, we'll pay you back, but we're just not going to pay you what we told you we were going to pay you. We're going to pay you. This is theoretical. You're not getting paid, say, 5% or 6%. You're going to get 1%.
So that is all.
It's a nightmare scenario, but the fact that one of the greatest fixed income managers is talking about it, howda.
Yeah, I mean, it ought to bother us for sure. And it's, Jackie, one of the things that's given in answer to that analysis is, well, we're not appreciating how much productivity AI is going to create in this economy and how much that's going to help us get on top of our debt and our deficits. That would be like the Elon Musk response to that analysis. Do you see that? Like, are you positive on the productivity possibilities here? Do you see that? Maybe call it like the Larry Kudlow growth side of the equation. Is that going to be enough? Does that help to get us out of that doomsday scenario? It's a big question.
You always save the big ones.
Well,
for
because
me.
you're smart, you know, and I like to hear you grapple with
I don't
big
know.
questions.
I don't know. You know, we had the headline before on the stock that Taylor focused on today, where AI was, you know, helping with productivity, but jobs were being lost. If the scenario doesn't play out exactly the way we're hoping it does, and there could be caveats, and who knows how it's going to play out because we've never seen this before, you could run into some trouble with this. I still think businesses will benefit from it. Keeping the jobs aside, let's assume we don't have a huge job loss from it. There's some job creation, some job loss, and it evens out. I think productivity will be seen in businesses, but our government isn't productive. So when it comes to spending and all the crazy things that we're doing in Washington and our debt and deficits, that's a separate conversation. I'm not really sure how much AI will help with that.
Gary, weigh in.
Just real quickly, every viewer should rewind and go over what Dagan just said on what's going on in government. 2.2 trillion deficit this year. Our whole federal spending in the year 2000 was 1.8 trillion.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but with all due respect, we've been saying this for 40 years.
Okay, and guess what? For 40 years, they're taunting, and it's very easy to kick the can down the road when you when you have easy money and you printed money and things like that. They're in like this driver's seat, and the problem is when it does hit the fan, either they're going to be gone or retired, the ones that caused this. And unfortunately, and I say this to this president, I was hopeful they were going to do something about it. And instead, we're talking about another $500 billion for defense. And by the way, that would be a 5-fold move in defense spending going back to the year 2000 if they do get the 1.5. I just wonder what day the bond market wakes up and shoots a certain finger at all this debt and deficits that are going on. And if that ever occurs, you are correct. What are they going to do about the debt to try and fix that up?
We're now back at 100% of GDP in terms of the debt held by the public. When was the last time that happened?
Probably
World War II.
Right. So so people haven't been talking. Now is a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
So people have been talking about the borrowing, really concentrated in the last 20 years, but now is the time to really cut when you can, when you have AI and this beginnings of a productivity boom, and we're not at all. We're going the wrong way.
We gave it a go, but Doge didn't become the thing that we hoped it would become, and I think that is a problem. I do like Gary's idea about if you DVR the show, then you can rewind it.
DVR.
And watch lots of stuff. And I hear 9-year-olds can help you with that. Maybe a 7-year-old even. We'll see.